Hello and welcome to the 250, the podcast where someone touches me and I dissolve into molecules. I'm Jonathan, and with me as always is my co-host Douglas. How are you, Douglas?
I'm really good. Who's the someone?
Could be you.
Could it? I mean, like, not naming names, but like, if anyone could touch you, like, doesn't necessarily have to be anyone here, but
Ryan Gosling. If this is your first time tuning into the 250, we have taken a snapshot of IMDb's top 250 movies of all time as of January 2020, and we've begun watching them from number 250 all the way through to number 1. In this podcast, we discuss our opinions, our thoughts, and our reactions to the movies within. Today's movie, number 238, is Before Sunset.
two strangers met by chance in Vienna 9 years ago, spending an unforgettable night together that ended before sunrise. They meet once again 9 years later in Paris, and they have one afternoon to spend time together chatting, philosophizing and reflecting on their past, as well as looking toward their future.
Before Sunset is directed by Richard Linklater and written by Richard Linklater and Kim Krizan, with assistance from Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy.
Who are the
Krizan?
two lead actors. I was thinking Krizan, but like Kim Krizan. I don't know. That kind of rolls off the tongue for me, but who knows?
So yeah, Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy are our lead actors, yes.
Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy.
I didn't know that they helped write it, but that makes a lot of sense because that seems like an important part.
Given that they are pretty much the only two actors in this film, yeah, I think...
I don't want to spoil... Bloody stop right there, mate. I don't want to... The thing that really... Well, actually, I guess if you watched the film before this... No, most people wouldn't have watched the prequel film to this. So if you... I don't want to spoil that... kind of the thing that makes this film so special, because it was kind of fun to find out about it after watching for a while and kind of working it out. But it is a very conversation heavy film, so that makes a lot of sense that the actors played a big part in writing the characters, I guess, and kind of showing how they would hold themselves and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
the way they would depict themselves. This was a pretty interesting one. It was the second in a trilogy, which made a lot of sense because the bit at the start, they show a couple of flashbacks to the first film. Yeah. And I was like, oh, are we going to see this? And then it turns out not being that. And I was like, oh. I 100% expected that. I said that. I watched it with my fiance as well, actually. We watched this one together and sitting down and going like, I really don't care about what happened before this. Because I was like so caught up in like what was currently happening. I was like, if they jump back, I'm going to be really mad. Which they didn't, obviously. I didn't realize it was a trilogy at that point.
Neither.
So I'm like, these are very like nicely shot scenes of the past. That's kind of interesting. And the way they were shot doesn't seem very flashbacky. It looks like perhaps someone lifted some footage from another film.
Just the way that it was integrated, I thought was really clever. And that goes for a lot of this film, is just the editing, I think, is really, really on point. It doesn't, obviously doesn't need to do anything too flashy because this film is so heavily based in dialogue and writing. But just what it does do and the cinematography and everything that is going on here is, I found absolutely exquisite.
I feel like those flashbacks weren't necessary.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it kind of...
I feel like we're getting too analytical for the pre-spoilers.
Yeah, pre-spoilers. Yeah, as John said, this is a very conversation-heavy movie. So if you're looking for something that is super dialogue-y and has lots of genuinely very interesting philosophical moments and exploration of two characters... this is a movie for you.
Absolute cracker for that.
And for me, a lot of the time, this movie felt like a play. Like, this movie could easily have been translated through to theatre and could have gone just as well. Obviously, you wouldn't have been able to do, because the two characters pretty much travel throughout Paris through the period of their conversations throughout the film. Very short film. It only comes in at about an hour and a half, I'm pretty sure, the runtime.
No, I think it comes to dead 2 hours.
You reckon? I thought it was shorter than that.
I think it's 1 hour and like 20 minutes and like 20 seconds or something.
That is not 2 hours. You said 2 hours.
Sorry, 120 minutes is what I meant.
120 minutes is 2 hours.
Do you want to continue your thought before you were so rudely interrupted?
An hour and 20 minutes is 80 minutes, Jonathan.
It's 80 minutes.
Yes.
No, it's 80. No.
It's 80 minutes.
That's all it was, 80 minutes. An hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, for way longer.
In a good way or in a bad way?
Oh, I saw an hour and 20 minutes. I think my brain said 120 minutes.
Right, okay. So you kind of...
Okay.
You defaulted.
It felt... It really... I felt myself kind of very pulled into it.
Yeah.
So it felt longer, yes. But not in a bad way. Not like it dragged. Like, there was a lot of shit going on is what it felt like.
Yeah. You really need to keep up with the dialogue between the characters, that's for sure. It's, it's kind of odd. I tend to watch movies with subtitles nowadays, if I can. Even if, I completely understand everything that's going on and all that jazz, I still like to watch it with subtitles, just in case, because there's sometimes just the occasional bit of dialogue that I might miss or something like that. And the subtitles just kind of make sure that I do, I get everything, I guess.
Yeah. No, I can get behind that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether that's dumb bitch baby move for watching stuff with subtitles, but for me, it helps me digest it more, I suppose.
As a lot of people see subtitles as a distraction, but I think with the amount of international media we have consumed, I think
you and I both. Yeah, we're both used to it.
Distracting for us. I think. You don't want to miss any of the bloody conversation in this film.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, it goes along at a pretty chopping pace. As you know, it's got that hour and 20-minute runtime. It's got a lot to squeeze into that hour and 20 minutes, but it doesn't. Nothing feels left out. Nothing feels egregious or kind of like it doesn't need to be in there. Everything feels justified, which is what I love about pretty much so far all of the romance movies that we've had in the 250 is everything is so... I've genuinely been pretty blown back by these romance films. Before Sunset, In the Mood for Love... we've got The Princess Bride coming up. All of these movies are just exquisite. And I think for some reason in my head, I ranked them lower purely because they were of the romance genre. And that feels so disingenuous now that I have actually taken the time to watch these and figure out what they're all about. I'm like, wow, I feel kind of bad for writing off just romance movies and stuff like that at face value.
It's totally that thing where when I first started and I thought this would be a chore, and it's like, no, they're good movies.
Yeah,
it's
right.
It's the top 250
of
they're
all
good
time.
Movies.
Yeah, we are literally just watching good movies. So quite some subjectively good movies.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as general audiences are concerned, these are good films.
These are the films that do the bestest.
Yeah, the film wankers from IMDb, basically. As far as I think, would you bloody recommend this film, Douglas?
Absolutely, I would. This is a masterclass in acting. I think it's an exquisite example of how to do dialogue between two characters and make it so hyper realistic that it just feels like these two are just having a conversation and it just so happens that there's a camera on them. And that is the best kind of acting. The best kind of acting is when it doesn't feel like they're acting. And these two nail that. Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke, I give absolutely biggest kudos to them as actors and for what they accomplish in this movie, as well as hopefully this trilogy. This movie has got me really interested in the rest of the trilogy, and the first movie in this trilogy, Before Sunrise, appears way later in the 250, up around the 150 odd mark, I think it is. So we're going to be revisiting this trilogy much, much, much later on, but I'm really looking forward to getting to that point and seeing more of these two.
Pretty excited. I feel like what's the last one called again?
Before Midnight.
Before Midnight. I feel like we're gonna have to watch that.
Yeah,
just to
that's not in the 250. So yeah, I want to check that one out. That one's set 9 years after Before Sunset, I'm pretty sure. So
yes,
yeah,
yes. So there's a 9-year gap between each film.
Yeah, both like real time 9-year gap, which is kind of cool as well. I like that because it gives the chance for the actors to actually grow and everything as well. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I also had a really good time with it. I think, especially because that's short. Like, fuck it. Like, what are you doing? Just watch the fucking thing. It's an hour and 20 minutes.
It's literally the length of
1.2
like
speed. It's an hour.
Yeah, it's literally like the length of a Game of Thrones episode or a Breaking Bad episode. It's you can smash this puppy out in no time flat, and you will not regret it. I can assure you. If you're into drama, if you're into romance,
in the oven.
Chuck it. Yep. Chuck a
find something to kill an hour and 20 minutes, and then
whack this bad boy on.
Probably just go for it. And then chuck this on in the background. Yeah.
Yep.
No, highly recommended. Good time. Spoilers. Warranted spoilers. You got any more?
Absolutely not. Let's just hit this bad boy nice and hard. Fucking hit me with that air horn. Just sound me with that. Okay, maybe not.
Sound you.
Very good.
Don't Google sounding, people. I think that was a good cover. I think we hid the fact that the thing that I didn't know. Did you know about the kind of structure of the film before you?
What do you mean?
The fact that the whole film is just a fucking extended conversation.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, no, me neither. And I really, really enjoyed that because you get about maybe 20 minutes in and you're like, I can see. I think something's going on here.
About at the 20-minute mark, they hit the cafe. So
yeah. Oh, it's because when they're walking to the cafe, that whole that's not cut at all. They just walk there and they just have this conversation.
Gigantic. The fucking gigantic take from him coming out of the bookstore, meeting her at the corner of the street, and then walking like pretty much the whole way down the street is just all one take. That fucking blows my mind, man. Like, if they missed one line, and because it's so hyper-realistic, if they flub for like 1 second and it loses that realism, fucking take's gone. You gotta go back. You gotta redo the whole fucking thing. Ugh, exquisite.
I
so
mean,
good.
the film isn't shot all in one take. I didn't really have a problem with that. It would have been nice, but it's definitely not a detriment to the film that they didn't do that. And I think in fucking year of our Lord 2020, we see a lot of people, a lot of films making a big fucking deal about
doing
single
one
take stuff,
shots.
extended takes.
1917 is the thing that comes to mind most recently for doing the one take miracle, quote unquote, with Sam Mendes at the helm,
and a lot of editing in the middle, which is
subtle editing to make it look like it's one take.
Yeah, it feels a bit gimmicky at this point.
Yeah,
so I wasn't really fussed. The thought came to my mind, and I was like,
it was dismissed as quickly as it arose.
I guess while we're talking about cinematography and stuff, the thing that struck me first, unfortunately, this film is fucking hideous. I don't know what the fuck they were doing with that color grading.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was recorded on like magnetic tape.
The budget for this film was less than the budget they had for Before Sunrise.
Oh.
So I'll get into that in the trivia section, but yeah, they had a real trouble putting this film together.
Right, okay. I wonder, do you know anything about the budget?
I do. Do you want me to cover that now?
No, sorry, not the budget. The amount of time it took to film.
Shooting was 15 days.
I wonder how much. I wonder if they had to surely they had to partition areas off for filming and stuff, something like that.
No, there's a lot of quote unquote extras in the film that just feel like literally people just walking past, and it felt kind of, it had that indie student film kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did notice a lot of the extras, and they did seem very, very convincing. Like, there's one scene where they're just walking down a street, and there's a guy just spraying water onto the. I think he's washing the road, but he's just sitting there with a hose.
Yeah.
At half pressure, just pouring water onto the street. That's a bit of a weird thing to do. But
live your life, mate.
Being a bit weird sort of made it feel a bit more real, because there's always you can't go for like this like perfectly like clean
prim and proper Paris. Yeah, prim and proper Paris.
That would not seem really realistic. You just need to pop a couple of people in there. They're doing some weird shit every now and then.
And then everyone goes, "Oh yeah, that seems legit."
Yeah, exactly. 100% though. Like that's the difference. No, it was a shame, but I got over it pretty quick as well. It was just like it was very like color grading was really drab, and it almost felt like there was fucking Vaseline on the lens. Like the lens was like a little like not very sharp. It was
yeah, occasionally a little bit blurred, but maybe that was a decision by them to kind of make it like more dreamy. Who knows?
More dreamlike, potentially.
But the thing that immediately caught me with cinematography, you know, the intro, and it shows all those little landscape shots, and kind of the editing is like kind of in sync with the music and everything.
I have completely forgotten about that.
Really? Well, all of those...
I can't recall that at all.
All of those little landscapey shots are the backdrops for where they walk and where they go in the film. And I found that so fucking clever, because like that is a way of establishing the setting, but not just tossing it away and going like, oh yeah, look at how pretty fucking Paris is, whoop-de-bloody-doo. It's actually a way of acclimatizing your audience to the setting, but then also getting your characters moving through that setting and then having the audience go, this feels familiar. Why does this feel familiar? You know? Because you've already seen it. And then that immediately makes you feel comfortable and aware of everything that's going on. Everything feels safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't feel like these characters are in danger or that, you know, they're lost or anything like that. Especially given Celine's character, you know, she's Parisian herself, so you know, she knows the city and everything. And I love the bits where like they kind of stop mid-conversation when they're at like a kind of like an intersection or something, and they're, you know, Ethan's character is like, you know, we're going up here, and they're just like, yeah, we're going up this way. You know, that like that adds that next level of realism on top of it. Yeah. Because rather than them having a conversation and then robotically, oh, we are going up these stairs because I know that we have to go up these stairs because I am an actor and my director told me to go up these stairs. His character wouldn't know to go up those fucking stairs. So he has to ask her to go, do we go up these stairs? And she goes, yes. That, like, fucking acting 101, baby. These guys are nailing it.
Bloody excellent. Those little conversation bits made them...
Little.
There's so much of it. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, but they are small things, but they're just, you know, they're everywhere, and that's kind of, it builds into this big convincing picture. They talk over each other a bit.
Yeah.
Which is very much... what other film was I looking at? Where you get, you know, real people talk over each other, they and ah, they talk past each other, which this does a bunch of. Sorry, I was just so fucking amazed by how convincing the performance is.
It is so hyper realistic, and I tried to express that in the intro before, just how incredibly realistic this feels, and that is just full credit, I think, to Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, and as well as Richard Linklater and Kim Krizan, for their writing chops, and then Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy both just delivering on their acting. Like, they fucking work for this movie. And they're something that I came across when looking at some other reviews for this film was that in comparison to Before Sunrise, the difference between these two films is the level of maturity.
Right.
And I think that is going to be really interesting to see when we revisit this trilogy and we watch Before Sunrise, because we are going to see pretty much a completely different version of these characters.
Yeah, I guess so.
We've seen them at the midpoint, technically, and we've seen them in this kind of 30-something,
like
messy,
early 30s.
Kind of, they're upset with their life. They've made lots of horrible decisions in their love life and, just general life decisions. And yeah, it's so interesting to see. And having read that, I could totally pick it up and be like, I can see the level of maturity in them and how their conversations flow and everything, like when they first meet as, it feels so real in that a 30-something meeting another 30-something that they haven't met in, a decade or whatever, and they're doing the small talk. First thing to come to mind is current news, current topics. So, economy and eco preservation, which is, Celine's whole, I wouldn't say shtick, yeah, but you know what I mean.
Shtick.
And, what are you doing? What am I doing? Blah, 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 blah. That all feels so incredibly just grounded, and I love it.
I'm just envious of their ability to keep a conversation going for a full hour and 20 minutes.
God damn, I wish I could do that.
I think that's the most unrealistic part of the film. I did like, and I wonder if this comes up in the previous film as well, but Julie's character, because she's French, she will take a lot of the things that... So what are the fucking characters' names again? I wrote these down.
Celine and Jesse. Sometimes Jesse will say a joke and Celine will take it seriously. It happens a couple of times. Yeah.
Because of this like little language barrier. I thought that was quite cute.
I love their banter. Their banter is so fucking adorable, and it makes those characters immediately likable. And you can see the pre-established kind of relationship. Oh, we should have said back in the intro, I don't think you need to... Obviously, we've watched this and we haven't seen Before Sunrise. I don't think you need to. I think you can drop in Before Sunset and you don't have to see Before Sunrise.
You get... Like that's the thing. I feel like those flashbacks weren't even necessary. I think the way they talk, you can pick up what was going on pretty quickly.
Even so, it was kind of nice to get an image of Celine as who she was in those younger years and then how she looks now. Because otherwise, if we didn't have those flashbacks and then when they cut to Celine like standing in the corner and Jesse like freaking the fuck out, I guess you could kind of piece 2 and 2 together from his book and everything. But I liked him doing like the cutaway to those flashbacks and then his like quote unquote narration over the top of it.
Yeah.
Like they kept the audio from what is happening in real time, but then had those flashbacks. I really liked that. I thought that was a really good editing choice.
I feel like that would have taken... It takes you out a little bit, I felt.
Sure.
Those little... Because if you take those flashbacks out, the film is just shot extremely realistically the whole way through. There's no weird editing in between or anything. There's only a couple of situations where the characters aren't directly visible and you can still hear them talking, like when they're in the car or when they come out of the cafe and they're like turn around that like frosted window.
Yeah.
Which I think still works perfectly fine.
Because that's all one nice big smooth take of them getting up out of the chairs, him putting the money down, them getting their coats, going outside, round the corner, out the window. Yeah.
Do you want to just harp on for the next 35 minutes about how they should have taken those... I'm getting very tied up about these fucking flashbacks.
Should have got rid of it.
Get rid of the fucking flashbacks. I found the way that this film was structured really fun and really interesting because from the outset, it doesn't look like, an average film is very easy to separate into acts and go like, okay, this is the introduction, and then this is where the complication appears, and then
the climax point of the film, and then the
cold, so they're like they think everything's lost, and then they push through the problem, and then you kind of conclude. And from the outset, if you don't think about it too much, this film doesn't really look like it has that. It's just this kind of fun thing to watch, and
it's just a conversation.
But when you sit down, you can start to pick it pretty quickly. It actually has...
Were you standing up for this film?
Yes. I always stand up to watch films. It's like, what a dumb fucking...
Sorry, I couldn't help it. When you're just like, I was just sort of imagining you, like, when you sit down, I just imagine you standing up and you're like, yes, this is an interesting film. And then you sit down and you're like, oh my God.
The blood's rushed back into my body and I now understand.
Sorry.
The film, I like writing-wise how the film puts an immediate pressure on it, because otherwise the film would kind of feel a bit meandering, I guess. But they go from the start. It's like, you got to be
on
the
that
airport by
plane.
7:15.
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually say what the time is when he leaves, but they're like, you got this time restriction, right?
Yeah.
You can go have coffee with your friend, but you need to be back on this plane because you got to. And at that point in time, they don't tell you that he's married, but it's like, you need to get out of here. Which I think, gives a very much needed kind of
level of
restriction on that.
Yeah, not urgency, but a level of like,
It's sort of a level
you
of
want
urgency.
them to have their conversation and to obviously iron things out in the period that they have. And then, they reach these little checkpoints throughout the film where they're like, checkpoint, this is the moment where we have to split ways and go away. And they always have we'll just go over here and we'll just do this, And I think that is incredibly relatable. I think if you have that one person, it may not be a love interest, it might just be a friend that you just love spending time with, and you would just do anything to be able to spend more time with them and keep talking to them. So you always make up all these little silly excuses to continue talking to them and, hanging out with them. I think that is incredibly relatable.
It was amazingly cute.
Yeah. And just, you can tell when they reach those checkpoints, and you can see in their faces that they're like, oh, fuck, this is the moment. And then like, get in the car. Like,
yeah. I got a bit stressed out watching that. I was just like, oh god, they're gonna go fucking get off the boat soon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's gonna drop her off at her house soon. That kind of shit.
Like time management brain is going like,
yeah,
you've been sitting here talking for 20 minutes. The plane leaves in like an hour.
If
you're in event management, don't watch this movie.
At the start of the film, he's got his whole thing with the book, and the guy goes like, did they get back together? And then he talks about like, oh, I think that's kind of the point of the story, is you don't tell everything, and like that conclusion is kind of up to you. And I as soon as I saw that, I was like, I was just like, this is gonna come up. I know this is gonna come up, and it's gonna be a not 100% clear ending. Lo
and behold,
which it was. I mean, you could kind of.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. You know he's gonna miss the plane, but like, yeah.
It means that you can't pick that before it. It's like right up to the end. You're like, is he going to? But there's that whole question of at the start, especially as someone who hasn't watched the film, that question of like what their past is, was kind of quite interesting, and it kind of kept you going for a little bit.
Yeah.
And this first act, as they're kind of walking towards the cafe, or I would define that as like the first act, is like a very much an introduction.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of, once again, someone who hasn't watched a previous film, you're kind of picking up what's going on in their lives. You're starting to get a little bit of a taste of what happened previously, and you get to see them start to kind of build the character, as it were. So they kind of put up these little facades or whatever. I always say facade too much in these fucking podcasts. But they're facades.
Yeah.
And both of them, they joke about it. They're like, oh, what happened after we didn't meet up in Vienna? And he goes, Jesse goes, oh, my life's been downhill from there. Ha 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 ha. Which is like actually the truth, but he's like kind of passing off as a joke.
Playing it off, yeah. I thought Jesse was a very, very relatable character. I saw myself a lot in Jesse, in that, he kind of, he's got a lot of those defense mechanism things going on, and being around someone that you loved and, you're having that conversation with them and that dialogue, you can't help but feel that little bit kind of tense and kind of just like, oh fuck, I need to like not make a wrong move. Even though like the other party might not care at all, they're just like totally chill, everything's fine, but there's still that level of prior history that you can't escape. Yeah, really clever.
There's also obviously this, she's feeling more or less the same thing, and you kind of start to pick up on that as you go. But she also has this like throwaway line about like, oh, seeing myself through your eyes is disturbing and that kind of thing. So the film uses this introduction to, and you might be able to start to pick that something's a little off, but the characters seem more or less genuine and just very happy to see each other at the start. And then that starts to rotate through to the second act, where you go, okay, they didn't get back together. You kind of worked out what's going on with them. And then the conversation then becomes, well, are they going to get back together this time? And they have, they start basically overtly flirting with each other. The conversation keeps going back to like their love lives and their sex lives. And she talks about, well, they talk about how each other both look while they're in the cafe.
Yeah. And she lets her hair down.
You start to... Does it stay down for the rest of the film?
Yeah.
It does. Interesting. You start to kind of... the film is basically hinting to you that this is not off the cards anymore. And that kind of gets your brain going to like, okay, where are they going to go with this now? Like, where's the end goal? They come out of the cafe and they start walking down... let me look at the... Oh, they're just walking around. They walk to the bench. That's right.
Yeah.
They walk around. Oh, that's why they go up the stairs and stuff. Yeah. They're just a bit more of that stuff. They're pretty overtly flirting with each other.
At that point,
they've got that conversation is just like, what would you do if we were going to die tomorrow? And he says,
wildly fuck you. Yeah.
Philosophy after between wild sessions of fucking.
That's it. Yeah.
It's very. Whatever, it's fine to listen to, but it's like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
Going right for it now, I see.
Yeah.
But then the film really goes like, okay, you can see this, that they're starting to warm back up to each other.
Yeah.
And you can kind of pick where this is going. Here's a fun little complication for you. He's married now, and he has a kid.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck.
Fucking Christ. And then, like, she has a boyfriend as well. And then that kind of that happens as they're leaving the bench, and that's a good point to make that realization for the audience, because that throws a spanner in the audience's head, and then kind of goes, oh well, fuck, then they can't be together. So what the hell's going to happen now? It's I really liked that. I think the strongest points of this film for me, I can think of two, and the first one being the car conversation. Because that whole the tone completely changes in the car.
That's rough.
Celine having a full breakdown, like borderline anxiety attack, and, starting to break down into tears and everything. And then she kind of calms down, but then Ethan breaks down as well, like very shortly after, when he talks about his marriage and everything and his son. And
so that's very much like the next act is when they...
That for me is the climax of the movie. Because you get both of these characters reaching their emotional intensity that they've been gradually building up to. And you have them in this tight, confined, secluded space where they're both allowing themselves to be that vulnerable around each other. And except for poor fucking Philippe in the front seat who's checking the rearview mirror going, Jesus Christ.
Hello. The characters have all had sort of like their facade has kind of continued to kind of get built upon, and Jesse's kind of convincing himself love is a choice, love is something that you just do to make other people's lives better.
Yeah.
And the kind of romance of it is dead, and
you get someone pregnant, you marry them, that's the stigma. Yeah.
Yeah. He's telling himself that that's the better choice, and that the romance they had was kind of almost like a youthful kind of thing that they don't need to do anymore. And Celine is telling herself, everything worked out for the best, basically.
I'm still in love with you, but
she would have liked a different way, but the past, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Which, of course, completely fucking falls apart in that car scene.
Yeah, exactly. Which is beautiful to see.
Oh, God. That's so fucking rough, but, like, in a good way.
The bit where Jessie starts breaking down and she reaches over to go head pat him.
Oh, my God.
But then he turns back around and her hand retracts. That shit...
That's, like...
Fucking... Oh, that made me cry. Like...
That, like, second.
Yeah.
That second, you're like, Oh my god!
Yeah.
Why is that in particular getting me so hard? That's fucking incredible.
The bit that breaks me. Yeah. I think it's that innate thing where you see someone that you love in pain and you know you really, really want to help, but you know that if you try and help them right now, dependent on the person, obviously, you're only going to be doing more harm than good.
Yeah, it can make things worse.
And I feel like Celine in that, you know, it's so gorgeous in that, like, second of human instinct to reach out and try and help him. She makes that judgment call and goes, no, I can't help him right now. Like, I need to let him do his thing because Jesse just let Celine do her thing and just completely, you know, break down and get it all out. And they have that realization that that's what they need. And then the second bit that was the strongest for me was where they're going up to the apartment and they're walking up the stairs and it is dead fucking quiet. They don't say a goddamn word. They just, it's the occasional glance to one another. But I think for a movie that is all dialogue, the moments where there is no dialogue is so powerful.
Yeah,
because it is striking. Just their emotion and it's almost just their eyes, you know? And that fucking cat. Can we talk about the cat? What a cutie.
The cat? Oh, yeah, the cat.
It's so cute. You can hear it when they're going up the staircase. He starts purring. And I was like, oh, little buddy.
I loved the family from the apartment block where they're barbecuing out in the courtyard. And they're all like chatting to each other in French, and you're like, I don't know what's going on right now, but okay.
And that kind of puts you in Ethan's shoes, puts the audience, I guess,
it does
for a Western audience in Ethan, in Jesse's shoes, I should say, to go like, yeah, you could see him looking around and kind of going, oh, I don't know what's happening, but I'm here for the ride.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I would like some of that. It looks delicious.
Yeah, oh, yummy. Could I have some little barbecue? And she's like, fuck you, Celine. And he starts walking home like, give me that sausage sizzle.
This last hour and 10 minutes, just going to throw it all away for that hot sausage.
You go upstairs with your fucking cat. I'm going to eat some sausages. And he gets in the car and he flies back to his shitty marriage.
He was playing the long game.
Yeah. He was in it for the sausage sizzle. What a plot twist.
And the whole scene in the apartment is like just the cutest thing in the world.
The song.
The song.
Oh my god. Oh god. Her voice is gorgeous.
Yeah, fuck shit.
Oh, wow. Just so serene and beautiful.
It's this situation that lets both of them just emote purely. And like there's like the bit where she reaches the end of like the lyrics and she's just kind of making a face while she does the keep strumming on the guitar.
Like, oh, fuck kind of face.
She's like, oh, this is a bit body awkward.
And then Jesse like tries to help her out and like kind of let her build her defenses back up a little bit by going like, you just slot every guy's name into that song, don't you? Like, and then that kind of jokingly lets her relax again. I fucking love that shit. That's so gorgeous.
His face the whole time where you can kind of, he recognizes like, oh fuck, this fucking song's about me. Shit.
Oh god, but it sets off those fucking alarm bells. Yeah, but like I think in terms of editing, I think it's so good that they, whenever someone is talking, they don't just fucking stick the camera on them and then just wait until they finish talking and then bounce over to the other person talking. In those dialogue-y bits and when they start to have monologues and things like that, it cuts over to the other person listening. And I think that's really important because you get to see their facial reactions to what is happening. And
yeah, which is so important.
The cafe scene where that's where Celine gets a lot of her dialogue out, is in the cafe. But there is still so much screen time given to Ethan Hawke, and just the way he's looking at her, I cannot describe it, but it is just like, it is the face of someone who is just so enamored with another human being that he hasn't seen in years and years and years, and she's here, she's in front of him, and it's that face of like, I just cannot believe this is real. I'm soaking up every single possible second that I can. And I have no fucking idea how he manages to portray that much emotion in his face, but my God, it is just so beautiful.
Bloody props to him.
Oh,
props to him.
Man.
Yeah, no, it's so important to that first part of the film where it's just like, yeah, no, this is happening, guys. Everyone who's watching.
It's just so sweet.
But we're going to tell you without telling you.
Yeah. So much like show, don't tell kind of shtick. In terms of their, as I think I've said this in maybe another episode, but I think acting is as much reacting as it is doing the words. And there is a lot of reacting in this film because it is a dialogue. You know, when you're having a dialogue with another person, it's good to actually react, and it's realistic to react rather than just going, that is very interesting. Thank you for this information. It's like I'm having a dialogue with you right now, and you react to me.
Wow. And I'm reacting.
Right now.
Bitch.
That was and I reacted to that. You see? We're doing it right now.
Wow. So, Douglas.
Yes, hello.
Do you have any trivia for us?
I do. I'm going to stop fucking bitching about how good the acting is, I promise.
I mean, look, let's be honest. It's more or less all there is to talk about with this film.
It's masterclass in acting. At one point, Jesse reveals that his son's name is Henry and that he is 4 years old. When Jesse and Celine get on the boat, he tells the driver to pick him up at Henry Cut, which translates to Henry IV or Henry IV.
Huh.
I picked that up as well because I remember.
That's just
Just a weird
little tidbit, I guess, a little Easter egg.
Yeah. I picked that up and I was like, huh. As I stated earlier, producer Anne Walker McBay worked with less time and less money than she had on Before Sunrise, but still brought the film in on time and on budget. So
wow.
I did a little bit of research on this because IMDb has contrary numbers to that little trivia tidbit, and I did some research on the trivia tidbit as well to make sure that it was actually true. The Before Sunrise budget was $2.5 million, and the Before Sunset budget was $2 million.
Okay.
Contrary to IMDb says that the Before Sunset budget was $2.7 million, which is incorrect. It was actually $2 million.
Oh.
So
okay, because there is stuff with budget. It's normally not that set in stone, and there's stuff like marketing plays into it and things like that. So it's not always it's kind of hard to say one certain number.
Yeah,
it was less is still important,
and achievement.
by pretty reasonable amount
to even think about doing a sequel with less than a budget than what you had for the first one is like it's such a risk from like a producer's perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, immensely. Yeah.
Like, mad props to the whole crew on this film. Like amazing. The film is notable for essentially taking place in real time, i.e. the time elapsed in the story is the runtime of the film. In the fast-changing temperate Paris climate, this created challenges from the cinematographer Lee Daniel to match the colour and intensity of the skies and ambient light from scene to scene. So that might be where your colour grading issue comes in.
Potentially.
The scenes were mostly shot in sequence as they were still developing the screenplay. So it sounds a bit like, what was the other movie that we watched where they developed the screenplay as they went?
Was Paris, Texas.
It was Paris, Texas. It sounds like a similar kind of deal, and I think that's why they give credit to Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, is because I would say the four of those guys would have just got together in a room and just gone, okay, or not even a room, just on set and gone, okay, now where do we go? And obviously Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy would know those characters so well that they would go, why don't we take it this way, you know?
I wonder how much of their conversation was ad-libbed.
Because it feels so genuine. Surely there has to be.
I feel like you can't have a very rigorous like, this is exactly the words you're going to say, and this is when you say type thing. Like,
because
you
otherwise
can't be that precise.
there's no way you do it without it sounding robotic.
It would sound robotic, so...
The story Celine tells about being advised to buy a gun by a policeman is actually a true story out of Julie Delpy's life.
Whoa. Yeah, that was fucked.
Yeah. This film was made 9 years after the first film, which is the length of time between the events in each story. I think we touched on that earlier. In Before Sunrise, Celine says she believes in reincarnation. When Jesse brings it up here, she says she thinks it's silly.
Oh,
Again, that brings me back to the level of maturity, I think.
Right, okay,
when you're young,
interesting.
you know, and the world's your oyster, and you're optimistic, you're going to believe in things like reincarnation and things like that. But then you get older, you get a little bit more cynical, pessimistic. You're naturally going to go, oh yeah, reincarnation, fucking nah, don't buy it. For some people, you know. My partner believes in reincarnation.
It sounds fun.
Which I think, I can get down with the idea of reincarnation, I think.
I can't wait to be a cow.
Welcome to the 250, now a philosophy podcast. It's your regular Australian Socrates over here. Shooting took a mere 15 days. I believe I touched on that one earlier.
Yep.
Jesse is in a failing marriage with a woman he married because she had become pregnant. Soon after the film's release, Ethan Hawke's real-life wife, Uma Thurman, whom he had married while she was pregnant with their first child, filed for divorce for adultery.
Oof. Wow.
Big yikes.
That's gnarly. That's fucking wild. Holy shit.
When art imitates reality.
Alright.
And last one I have, which is probably the saddest bit of trivia I have ever found on anything for the 250. In the movie, Jesse confesses to Celine that he wrote a book about their meeting 9 years before, partially in the hope that she would read it and re-establish contact with him. Like Before Sunrise, this is based on events in director Richard Linklater's own life. He had once spent a night walking and talking around Philadelphia with a woman called Amy in 1989. Though they initially stayed in touch over the telephone, they lost contact eventually. In 1994, Linklater shot Before Sunrise based on his night with Amy. Like Jesse in Before Sunset, Linklater was secretly hoping that Amy had heard of the movie and would show up at the premiere, but she did not. When Before Sunset was released, she did not show up either. It wasn't until 2010, before Linklater started production on the second sequel, Before Midnight, that a friend of Amy, who knew about their story, contacted Linklater to tell him that Amy had died in a motorcycle accident on May 9th, 1994, at the age of 24, a few weeks before he started shooting Before Sunrise.
Whoa.
That
woof.
breaks my fucking heart, man.
Fucking hell, alright.
Oh. Well, I really should have. Maybe I should have fucking led with that one first. So we're not like.
So Douglas.
Wow, what a fucking chippy old bloody podcast, wasn't it?
What a great movie.
Oh God, but no. Yeah, obviously, I think that level of realism comes through, and obviously, since Richard Linklater experienced that, you can see that level of genuine kind of longing to be with someone else that oozes into his work here.
You know what? At the start of the film, where he's talking about his book, Jesse says, we only write what we know, or something. That whole, like, thing about... Whoa! Holy shit. That's gnarly.
Yeah, man. I really, 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 really love this movie.
I super loved it. I super, super loved it. It was... I mean... I think that's... It's like... The problem is this is, like, not an exciting thing to get, like, worked up about, but just, like, an incredibly realistic, detailed conversation between two real feeling humans, with everything that carries with it, is just it's like the aim.
I think for me, it's just because I'm an actor, and I think I understand how incredibly difficult it is to pull off something like this. That I can I just fucking can't help but jizz over just how fucking amazing it is that they did pull it off. And it makes me want to disassemble this thing piece by piece and figure out just how they did pull it off. And yeah, I think obviously that's why I just, love this movie so much.
100%. Really recommended it.
And I'm so excited to revisit it later on. Before Sunrise comes in at 196 cool. in the list. So it's not too far off. I'm only about 40 odd episodes.
Only
45, maybe 50. Yeah. That's not too far.
It's
only like a whole year.
Yeah.
In terms of when like the scheduling for the episodes are.
We'll get there eventually.
No, it'll be good. I'm really looking forward to checking out where this whole thing started. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, no, recommended.
Absolutely.
Good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Bloody, if you got all this way through, you fucking spoil it for yourself. So I don't even know why I'm talking to you.
Yeah, you dykehead.
If you found that insulting, please get back to us on our social media. We have email 250pod@gmail.com, TWOFIVEOHPOD@gmail.com. You can get in contact with us directly if you want to do that for any reason. You can also get in contact with us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Instagram is our kind of more that's probably the best option. More stuff comes out on that. But if you want to listen to all the podcasts on YouTube, if you find that more convenient for whatever reason, you can go ahead and do that.
Are they released at the same time on YouTube?
They are being released at until we catch up. They're getting released one every 4 days, and then they will be released at the same time.
Nice, cool. Because we only just started up the YouTube thing about how many episodes in did we?
Maybe 5 or 6 films.
Yeah, so we're just we're doing the catch up game a bit at the moment, but then once we're back up. That will release at the same time every week, which is Tuesday.
You can also listen to us on some other podcast services if that is your prerogative. If you're on Spotify and you're like, I'd like something that's more convenient and I don't have to have a screen open to listen to, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Pocket Casts, Google Home, and Amazon Echo. And we also have Deezer and Google Podcasts, which you forgot that in the last one.
Oh wow!
Oopsie.
Did we gotta or?
No, they're not. We just keep forgetting to put them on the template.
Oh really?
The notes.
Shit.
And last but not least, we are both on Letterboxd, which is a little movie tracking app and lets you website lets you put reviews up and stuff like that. I'm personally, my account is Upa, that is UUUPAH, that's 3 U's, and Douglas.
I am IENZOKNIGHT, that's Yenzo Knight with a K. Jonathan here writes haikus for his reviews, and I tend to write just a couple of little paragraphs about the films that I'm watching for the 250, as well as whatever I'm watching recently. Like just recently I watched The Cabin in the Woods for the first time. I've really wanted to check that out.
Good choice.
For a long time. I've heard that it flips the horror genre on its head, and it certainly does. So if you're into horror, go check out Cabin in the Woods. That's a ripper of a good movie. It's
really nice.
It's
a bit of a comedy as well.
Yeah.
It's not crazy. It's not gonna.
No.
The horror stuff in there is not the.
As far as horror goes, the horror in Cabin in the Woods is pretty light.
Yeah, it's very kind of predictable
because you got the comedy to offset it as well. So yeah, good movie. And this was a good movie. They're both Cabin in the Woods and this movie are very short. Cabin in the Woods is about an hour and a half, and then this is
hour and 20. This is
an hour
potentially
and
the short
20 minutes. Jonathan,
did I say 120 again?
No. I'm just fucking yanking your chain.
Just fucking with me.
Tune into the next 250 episode where we teach John math.
Tune into the episodes two episodes from now where we watch a film that is 5 hours and 30 minutes long. Yeah. We'll freak out about that more on the next episode when it's more
next.
real and
when it's prevalent.
When it's closer.
Yeah.
Good fucking God.
Christ.
Cool.
We can do it. We can get there. Thank you for tuning into the 250, and as always, we look forward to we look forward to pinging you real soon.
Yeah. See you later, guys.
Bye.
Oh my god.
We look forward to peeing you real soon. I want to die.